presentation. And we're welcoming Adam Pirol, who will also give us another provocative approach to a different way of doing digital identity for everyone, everywhere.
Hey everyone, thanks Joseph and the conference organizers for this amazing event. Thanks to NIMC, the 47 African delegates, and over 90 countries here. So we'll get started with our presentation. Here we are. So I'm going to talk about an area of technology that's developing rapidly, but that is just incredibly exciting for identity, and that's artificial intelligence. And the idea for our company from the start, about 5.5 years ago, has really been all about inclusion and development, and taking these modern technologies and not using them for, say, advertising or video games or something like that, but using them for development to provide inclusion to a variety of services at large scale. So I want to go through a few quick warm-ups first, just to set the context. So number one, Sub-Saharan Africa. This is the World Bank Global Fintechs database. Sub-Saharan Africa is the world leader in mobile phone banking. So number one, this is not a story of catching up. This is a story of leadership, and that's what's so exciting. The average smartphone user in Nigeria spends 3 hours a day on their mobile device. So that's about a quarter or a fifth of all the waking hours today. The mobile share of internet traffic in Nigeria has increased just over 4 years, from 42% to 79%. And that's one of the highest percentages across the world. 1,000 naira in 2016 could buy 15 times more data than just 5 years before. This is global smartphone users, and just look at that. Only, say, 10 years ago, there was 240 million smartphone users. The iPhone had only recently come out. Android was just getting its sea legs. And then 5 years later, 1.5 billion smartphone users around the world. 5 years later, more than 1 billion additional smartphone users around the world in just 5 years. This is looking at global population. And in 2007, this is the UN World Population Prospects with the 2017 revision. The world population was 7.5 billion, of which Africa was 1.26 billion. The projection over the next 3 decades is that the world will add another 2 billion people to the planet. And of that 2 billion, more than half will come from Africa. That's just incredible. This was, I was listening to Nicolas Sarkozy discuss this in Abu Dhabi at the Ideas Weekend just 1 or 2 months ago. And if you just think about it, over 100,000 years that we've been here, it took us to get to the first billion. We will add another 2 billion people over just the next 3 decades. And it's one of the biggest impacts to the planet. And so how do we think about this? And this is really what caused us to take pause in 2012, and really what inspired us to create our company, which is basically that the world is becoming mobile device-led across activities. And this sort of transformation in technology has incredible bearing on the opportunities for identity systems. And number two, that addressing the identity needs of large populations is critical to addressing the planet's greatest challenges over the next 3 decades. So I'll just briefly touch on our product, really stay mostly at the ideas level. But essentially, these topics are why we created our company. And our solution is to deliver biometric identity as a portable, pure mobile software service that can be cross-device and with account sizes as small as 2 kilobytes or a fraction of the size of an SMS message to provide inclusion across services and across development needs. So that includes facial recognition, includes palm authentication, it includes fingerprints, which is in development, and it includes infant biometrics, which is also in development. So here we are. So I co-founded this company with someone that I'll just briefly mention is very special in artificial intelligence. He, together with two collaborators, get credit for creating the modern field of AI. Jan developed something called convolutional neural networks, which now powers everything from, say, Google search or Facebook data feeds to Tesla self-driving cars. It's an incredibly enabling technology. And when we formed, there was only 4 deep learning startups, period, anywhere. And the other 3 were focused on video games and advertising. We were focused on identity for development. So here we are. Just briefly through the performance that you can achieve with this mobile software-based approach to biometrics is state-of-the-art, and it's already exceeding most of the conventional hardware-based approaches to biometrics. The portability means that you can create a biometric account on any device. You don't have to even own your own device. And then that biometric account can sync across any number of devices across, say, a country and be able to recognize you on a different device. The security architecture is a key part of this, in that we don't need to transfer or store, say, the underlying images of the person, which we capture through the smartphone camera. And other key components to this are the fact that it can work offline. You can have a phone in a location, like in many locations where we serve, where there is no signal at all, nothing. And you can create accounts and have those accounts sync wirelessly across, say, a country or any variety of configurations that you want once those devices regain connectivity. And then with important one-to-one matching features. So actually, I'm just going to spend basically one slide on AI. I'm not going to get too technical here. But I just want to say why AI. What are we talking about? AI isn't the point. AI is just a tool. But the point of the modern methods, and the reason, if I were just to say, try to isolate what's important about the modern methods, because AI has gotten so much attention recently. The whole innovation that our co-founder Jan LeCoultre developed in the 80s and 90s at Bell Labs was a change in the thinking about classifying signals. So in the prior versions of AI and machine learning, the approach was sort of a very human ego-driven approach, which is that you start with a human expert, and the human expert tries to define the rules for classification. Say a dog is defined as having 4 legs and a fluffy tail, maybe some whiskers and a snout or something like that. And then using those rules and sort of force-fitting those on, say, images of the world and maybe dogs. The approach that Jan took was say, you know what, let's invert the process. And so the whole sort of reason and excitement about the modern approach is that you don't start with narrowly defined rules. You start with data. And what you try to do is get as much data as possible, as diverse and as representative a data set of the signals that you're trying to classify as you can. And then have that data set train the machine as opposed to programming the machine. And so the data itself fine-tunes the parameters for classification, not the vice versa. And what that means when you can get large data sets that are diverse and representative of the data that you want to try to classify is that these classifiers, just over the last 5 years, started outperforming so greatly over the prior methods for a whole range of problems for which biometrics is a classic signal processing problem, that in all the international competitions today, you will never see any of the old methods used anymore. It's just been a complete change. And what that means for, say, performance and portability and also security architecture, it's a very big deal. Here's functionally what I mean by that. So if you take, say, fingerprint systems, it's been very well reported that there are a lot of blockages in these systems. For example, someone shows up with cracked fingerprints, many people that are involved in manual labor, or the elderly, the fingerprints may be worn off, and they're blocked from the system. This modern AI approach doesn't require you to use minutia matching, even though it can incorporate that as part of the classification exercise. And so what this means is that the modern approach can learn from this woman's features, no matter how they are. This modern approach will start with her data and her uniqueness, and it will develop a very high-performance classifier from that directly. This I think is very important, which is that as much as possible, as we talk about stuff like harmonization, we also want to think about, are we building systems that will work for the future? And the sort of warm-up exercises that I started this talk with really sort of tried to set that groundwork. What is the future probably going to look like? And we're already seeing it. The future is becoming so mobile and so digital, and the ability to, and all of the, so many of the use cases, whether it's banking services or healthcare services, a variety of telecom services, really need to meet people on the mobile device because that's where they are, and you cannot ignore that. And so that's where we view identity as being required. It needs to meet the people where they are, where and when they need it. And so by thinking on a mobile-first basis, we're not just building a product that may need to be replaced by new hardware in, say, 3 to 5 years. We're building a product that doesn't cost anything because it's only software. You can send it wirelessly across the country at the push of a button. And say next year or the year after you want to change something, just push an update which can go wirelessly again across the country. And it will increasingly, year by year, as we do more on our mobile devices and more private sector services and government services become embedded in the mobile experience, this identity will meet them right there, and it can be natively integrated as an SDK with those applications. So, and then maybe this goes without saying, if you don't have to start talking about provisioning, millions of hardware devices, and it's just software that you can push across the country, you just cannot get lower cost than that. And that cost is today, that's the cost of replacing the stuff, that's the cost of tracking stuff when it needs maintenance. It's just pure software. It's across the install base of smartphones that the population is already choosing to use, not for one reason, but for many reasons, and that's only continuing. So here I want to run a case study. This is going to be, this is something that we are so passionate about on our young child biometric platform that we're developing. And if I may, we've already started. Is the audio on, please? Nice.
Unique identifier is very important, but that is challenging in our country, particularly in a country like Bangladesh, where birth registration is only about 20%. I am Dr. Anisur Rahman. I am a public health practitioner and have been working in International Center for Diarrheal Disease Research for almost 27 years. So we meet today Nusrat. She is 6 weeks old, and today she is here for her first oral polio vaccine. Over the next few months, Nusrat will return to receive her second and third dose. Over her lifetime, she will come to this clinic many times for other vaccines and health services needed. Being able to identify her and refer to her vaccination and medical history is critical to providing her with the best possible care. Without a proper form of identification, this would be very difficult to do.
Global Good is a collaboration between Bill Gates and Intellectual Ventures to develop and adapt catalytic inventions that can enable low-resource communities to access good healthcare. I'm David Bell. I direct the Global Health Technologies group here at Global Good. Linking data to a patient's identity from birth through adulthood is vital to good healthcare. Biometric screening is a way of using a person's physical or biological characteristics to identify them accurately. For instance, a fingerprint or a handprint or an iris scan. Each human has a unique biometric print. This is in many ways the most accurate way of identifying people that we have. Biometric screening is widely used and accepted in financial services for protecting personal documents. In the health sector, it's been relatively neglected. The problem is particularly acute in identifying infants. So how do you capture an infant's biometric signature when the features are very small, they're changing over time, and the child doesn't sit still, and you have to be very quick in capturing it? This is a problem which we brought to Element.
Element has built a mobile platform for biometric identity, and our goal is to deliver identity to the billions who need it. And there's almost no more frictionless way to do that than through the smartphones that now proliferate the world. Hi, I'm Adam Perold. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Element.
The idea that Element is built around is the idea of taking pictures of your hand or your face to identify yourself. I'm Jan LeCun. I'm a professor at NYU. I'm director of AI research at Facebook, and I'm a co-founder of Element.
Element was built from the bottom up with these deep learning methods to work for anyone, regardless of their features, in areas of low connectivity. That goes down to the algorithms themselves, which are robust to all the differences in human form, to the ability of the models to run on any device local without connectivity.
Deep learning is based on the idea that you train a machine instead of programming it. You train it to recognize one person from another, from, say, the palm of the hand, or in the case of an infant, a picture of the feet of the infant. This is not possible with other technologies where every technology is really built specifically for a particular kind of signal, say fingerprints or faces. Here, it's the same technology that we can apply to anything.
With our partners in Cambodia and Bangladesh, we're following 8,000 infants over time to determine what biometric is most accurate and suitable for use in infants. Our goal is to build a novel platform for infant identification, one that is non-touch, works without wireless connectivity, and runs on any mobile device.
At Angkor Hospital for Children, parents and their children travel many hours and kilometers to receive care. My name is Manila Prak. I'm the director of Global Child Health Program of the Angkor Hospital for Children. As we move from paper system to electronic and mobile record keeping, biometrics are a key part of our effort to change the way we take and track medical record for our children.
Working with biometrics actually gives us a chance to be at the cutting edge of medical technology. My name's Claudia Turner, I'm the CEO of Angkor Hospital for Children. The interface between technology development and end user is just vitally important, and that's why a partnership with Element and Global Good is just very important for us.
Biometrics actually connecting the community with the health system broadly, but it should work with different hardware, it should work with different contexts everywhere. Working Global Good and Element is really exciting for us because this is a new area of research we can use in different settings to improve the health of the children.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll try to sort of move. Oh, we're done. 30 seconds. Okay, 30 seconds. Briefly, just additional case studies include our adult prop platform for facial recognition and palm authentication with a number of national banks, in one case with over 100 million customer accounts, national health systems, national telecom carriers, of which there are several, and an opportunity to use this frictionless mobile software to be not just picking off, say, one use case or another, but to be cross-silo and future-proof. And then finally, how can we work together? You know, I thought that Jean-Francois's comment on the first day, Jean-Francois, the UNICEF East and Southern Africa advisor, about when you build an identity system, they will say job well done, but what about development? Why are we doing this, and how can we do it best? You know, thinking about the user first and where the user is and what they need, and then using modern technology to try to really traverse a lot of the frictions in the system is incredibly exciting. We'd love to talk to you more about it. Thank you.